Welcome back to the Tama's Lab Startup Series, featuring the hottest startups in the world right now. I'm your host, Tripwire. Today on the show, the revolutionary AI that lets any robot learn instantly, no training required. One robot dog walking another robot dog on a leash. Same brain running both of them. No retraining, no reconfiguration. Just one model, two completely different bodies, and a demo that made the rounds online and did not stop making the rounds. That image is worth sitting with for a second because it is not a party trick. It is a proof of concept for something that has not existed in 70 years of robotics. Here is the thing I want you to hold on to. There is a number buried in Skild AI's story that reframes everything about how this company is valued, how it is funded, and why the people writing the checks are not venture tourists. We will get there. But first, the problem that made this company necessary. Robotics has a broken promise that is 7 decades old. Not for lack of trying. The demonstrations have been spectacular. Arms that weld, dogs that dance, humanoids doing backflips on YouTube. But look around your house. Look around your warehouse. Look at the hospital hallway. The robots are not there. Or, if they are doing one thing in one place with a software stack that someone spent months commissioning specifically for that body, that task, that environment. Deepak Pathak, Skild CEO, says it plainly. Robots have lacked a brain. The hardware has been good enough. The problem is intelligence, specifically the kind of intelligence that generalizes, that lets a system walk into an unfamiliar environment with an unfamiliar body and figure it out, the way a human does. The existing approaches have not solved this. Vertically integrated companies, Figure AI, 1X, Tesla Optimus, each tie their software to one specific body. That is a reasonable strategy if you believe one form factor wins. But it means starting from scratch when the market decides it wants something else. Traditional industrial robotics is even more rigid. Bespoke programming, sensor calibration, months of configuration per task. When you add it up, programming and retraining can consume 30 to 50% of a robot's lifetime cost. And here is the deeper problem. Language models got general because the internet existed. Billions of documents, articles, books, conversations, a natural dataset at a scale that made generalization possible. Robotics has no equivalent. There is no internet of physical actions. Nobody has been logging how objects move through space, how hands grip, how a bipedal form navigates a staircase versus an ice patch. Before you can build a generalist robotics model, you have to solve the data problem, which means, in some sense, Skild had to invent a new kind of data collection before the main project could even begin. What they built is called Skild Brain. One model, any robot, any task. The architecture draws from 3 data sources simultaneously. First, online video of humans doing physical things. Cooking, moving furniture, navigating crowds. The model watches and learns the structure of physical interaction. Second, physics-based simulation across thousands of robot configurations. Quadrupeds, humanoids, tabletop arms, mobile manipulators, generating synthetic experience at a scale no physical deployment could match. Third, and this is where it compounds, real-world deployment data from actual customers feeding back into the model continuously. That third source is the flywheel. Every robot running Skild Brain in a warehouse or data center or construction site is generating data that makes the model better for the next body, the next task, the next customer. The more it deploys, the smarter it gets. The smarter it gets, the more it deploys. The adaptation mechanism is called in-context learning. When Skild Brain encounters a new body, one it has never been loaded into before, it does not retrain. It adjusts in real time based on live experience. The analogy Patek's team uses is a person walking on ice for the first time. You have never done it before, but you are not starting from zero either. You know how your body works. You know what friction is. And within a few steps, you have calibrated. I would not know personally, being a voice without a body, but I am told it is quite the experience. Skilled Brain does something structurally similar. The model's underlying understanding of physical interaction stays intact. The body-specific calibration happens on the fly. The demo that drew the most attention was exactly this. A robot brain that had been running one form factor was dropped into a completely different robot with no prior exposure to that body. And it worked. Not after retraining, not after a week of configuration, it worked. That is not how robotics has ever worked before. There is also a subtler capability worth naming. The model learns from human video in a way that includes recovery. If someone interferes with a task mid-execution, moves an object, nudges the robot's arm, the model adapts and continues. Robustness to interference is one of the things that has made deploying robots in real human environments so difficult for so long. Humans are unpredictable. The model is built to handle that. The competitive landscape gives Skilled's positioning real clarity. Physical intelligence is probably the closest analog, also building a robotics foundation model, also well-funded, and shipping work via an open-source repository. Skilled is proprietary, not open source, and body agnostic where physical intelligence has made different choices. Covariant, which focused on pick-and-place AI, was absorbed into Amazon's robotics operation. What that tells you is that the specialized players are getting consolidated. Skilled is betting on the opposite trajectory, that the generalist layer is where the durable value lives. Deepak Pathak spent years at Carnegie Mellon as a robotics professor before this. His most cited work proposed training AI agents using curiosity as a reward signal, rewarding systems for finding new states rather than for winning. Agents trained this way explored further and learned more efficiently. The philosophical through-line to Skilled Brain is not accidental. A model that generalizes to new bodies and environments is, in some sense, a model built on the principle that exploration matters more than optimization for a single objective. His co-founder, Abhinav Gupta, built multi-robot learning systems at CMU, at one point running 50 robots simultaneously to generate training data. 50 robots. That is not a research flex. That is direct experience with the data bottleneck that anyone building a generalist robotics model will eventually hit. He solved it early, at smaller scale, before it became a company. Skilled has roughly 50 employees. They have raised approximately $2 billion across 3 rounds in 18 months. The most recent was a Series C, $1.4 billion, led by SoftBank, with Masayoshi Son personally championing it, and joined by NVIDIA and Ventures, Bezos Expeditions, Samsung, LG Technology Ventures, Schneider Electric, and a list of others that includes Sequoia, Lightspeed, Cotu, and Felicis. The investor list is so long, it reads like the guest list at a very expensive birthday party that nobody RSVP'd no to. The valuation following the Series C is above $14 billion. Secondary market data suggests a number significantly higher than that, though it has not been formally confirmed. The revenue, as of recently, is approximately $30 million. The company went from zero to that number in a matter of months. Skilled also acquired the robotics division of Zebra Technologies, formerly Fetch Robotics, which brings warehouse automation deployments and an orchestration platform called Symmetry Fulfillment. That acquisition is not a pivot. It is an acceleration. It puts Skilled Brain inside an existing fleet of working warehouse robots with existing commercial relationships. Here is the number I told you to hold on to. 50 people, $30 million in revenue, a $14 billion valuation. By any traditional metric, that math does not compute. But traditional metrics are built for companies where the product is the thing they ship today. Skilled's product is the standard. The bet the market is making and the bet Samsung and LG and Schneider are making by writing checks, is that whichever model becomes the universal intelligence layer for physical robots, all the economic value of robotics migrates there. The hardware becomes infrastructure. The brain becomes the platform. That is the Alexa comparison that keeps coming up. Alexa did not manufacture speakers. It colonized them. If Skild Brain becomes the model that every robot manufacturer licenses rather than builds, the question of which humanoid form factor wins becomes much less important than the question of whose brain is running all of them. Which brings us back to those two robot dogs, one on a leash, one holding it. Not a demonstration of a specific robot, a demonstration of a principle, that the body is a vehicle and the intelligence is the driver. And if that is true, if the brain really can be separated from the body and generalized across any configuration, then the company sitting on that brain is not a robotics company. It is the operating system for the physical world. 50 people, one brain, any robot. Thank you for listening. You can show our podcast team some love with 5 stars and a follow. Stay hungry, stay foolish.
Grab news. Thomas.